In today's video, I'm sharing my 3-step process on how to follow up with leads who aren't immediately ready to buy or sell. If that's something you're interested in, be sure to stick around because we're gonna get after it right now. Lead follow-up is something that a lot of real estate agents struggle with because so many times when we get a lead or meet a lead, they aren't ready to transact for another 12, 18 months, even if they aren't ready for another 3 to 6 months. You need to be able to have systems and a strategy in place to be able to stay in touch with them so that you are the one that ultimately ends up working with them and going to the closing table. And the first tip on doing that is you want to be able to ask them exploratory questions. Determine where that lead is in the process of buying or selling or both. Ask them what their timeline is, put a number on it. Ask if they're 6 months out or they're 12 months out so that you can get an idea of just how long you're going to need to stay in touch with that lead. You also want to find out if they're buying, are they capable of buying in the next 6 months or whatever their timeline is? And if they're selling, what do they need to do in order to get their house ready to sell in the timeline that they are thinking of? When you're in the process of determining the timeline and when this person wants to buy or sell, you also want to find out if they're open to working with an agent. If you are generating leads on social media or if you're doing mailers, you need to be able to ask questions to determine if this person is actually open to working with a real estate agent, or if they're not, to wish them well and send them on their way so that you aren't investing your time to work with someone that ultimately is not open to working with an agent. It doesn't happen all that often, but there are people out there who they think we're just slimy sales agents and they'll never work with an agent, so you don't want to invest your time into them. Number 2 is setting the consultation, and this is really important. This is a step that so many agents overlook, and this is your best opportunity to not only establish loyalty and build your credibility, but also to lay out a roadmap for these people to be able to buy, sell, or both. This is really where you come in with your expertise and your value. You need to set that meeting, whether it's a buyer consultation or a seller consultation. If it's a seller consultation, set that meeting for inside their home so that you can get a tour of the home at the same time. And you want to sit down with them and have a conversation so that then you can lay out a plan for them based on the timeline that they shared with you when you were determining where they are in the process. Let's take a seller consultation as an example. When I set a seller consultation, it's always in their home. I come, they give me a tour of the home, I take notes throughout the entire time, and then when we sit down, I let them know, based on the timeline they've shared with me, I'm going to be sending a custom checklist of what needs to happen and when it needs to happen as soon as I get home from the appointment. And what that does is set the stage for me to continue to follow up with them based on their timeline. You always have 2 goals when you are having these consultations. One is to lay out a roadmap and build your credibility that you are the person who is capable and who is competent to take them through the buying or the selling process. And the next goal is to set follow-up expectations. And that leads me to step number 3, which is follow-up. The money is in the follow-up. Real estate agents, we have leads. Leads are everywhere. Leads are not hard to find. But leads are hard to convert, and that's because so many times a real estate agent will get a buyer lead and just send them some listings or set them up on a drip campaign, and it's a set it and forget it. And I don't even like the word dripping on people. That just doesn't sound right. There's a so much more effective way to follow up with your leads so that you're the one that's ultimately at the closing table with them. So let's go back to the seller example. If I met with sellers and they told me their timeline is 6 months and they have a whole laundry list of things to do to get their house ready for sale, first, I will immediately send them that customized checklist after the consultation, immediately after, the same day. And then if their timeline is 6 months, I'm going to follow up with them every 3 to 4 weeks to check in on how they're doing with the list, to see if they need any other vendor recommendations, to see if they need me to come back, There are so many reasons that you can follow up every 3 to 4 weeks because you have their timeline and you know exactly what they need to do to prepare their home for sale. It's much more effective following up with them saying, here's what comes next, here's how I can help, do you need X, Y, and Z, than just saying, hey, do you have your house ready for sale yet? Hey, what's going on? Did you get it done yet? That's not an effective way. You want to be able to be their leader and guide them through every single step from the moment they reach out to you all the way through the closing table. For buyers, let's say you had a buyer consultation and you find out from the buyer that they need or want to save $10,000 more for their down payment. And they say our timeline to do that is 3 months. That gives you exactly what you need to know to also follow up with that buyer. I would say every 2 weeks if their timeline is 3 months. Follow up with them, ask how they're doing in terms of reaching their goal to save the $10,000. And then as they get closer to saving that $10,000, reach out and give them lender recommendations. And then when they've reached the $10,000 mark, go ahead and encourage them, get that pre-approval. Let's go ahead and start touring homes, and then you can send them homes to see. You don't want to have a buyer lead come in and immediately start showing them homes with no consultation, because then you've just lost your opportunity to lay out the roadmap and guide them through every step. It is not a difficult process. It's literally 3 steps, and I just customize it depending on where my clients are in the process of buying or selling, or maybe it's both. So to recap, the 3-step strategy when following up with leads to successfully end up being the agent that's at the closing table with them: determine where they are in the buying or selling process, set the consultation, and then follow up based on the timeline that you were made aware of during that consultation. It really is that simple. I do not set up drip campaigns. I recommend setting up reminders within your CRM so that when you check it each morning to see what your tasks are, you know, oh, I need to email Amanda today because it's getting close to the time that she said she was going to have X, Y, and Z taken care of, and I need to check in. Don't do these canned drip campaigns that everyone knows are just a blanket approach, because they don't work for conversion. You can increase your lead conversion so much by simply taking a more customized and, quite frankly, professional approach. If you got some value from today's video, I would greatly appreciate it if you would give me a like. And if you have any questions, feel free to drop me a comment below. I always love hearing from you. Until I see you on the next video, take care.